Words for the rich, words for the poor, words for the bailiffs knocking at your door, words for upliftment, words for the pain, words to keep your sanity, words drive some insane, words for love, words for freedom, words to make you rise up like a phoenix, words to make a cold man feel it, words to set our children free from a world of poverty, words for the politicians, words used for lies, words used for truth, words to save lives, words to enlighten humanity in a world full of more depravity, words for the moralistic, words for those not listening, words for the young without any jobs, words for the old at home in the cold, words for the single mother who can't get a job. You can work for your job seekers, but there aren't any jobs. Words to regain free education, words to unite segregated nations, words for those living in genocide, men, women, children, in fear of their lives. What words do you give a woman raped and ravaged in war, so far from anyone, her screams are unheard? Words for the families who lose their sons and daughters in another man's war, so many souls lost for the evil man's score. Words for the victims of Guantanamo Bay, words for the real terrorists who always get away. Words to free your soul, words to feed your mind. The pen is mightier than the sword. It's time to free mankind.